in the center. Giving you lessons from can't say it. Can't say it. You have to check out the exclusive content on patreon.com/The Saint in the Center. We have a very important lecture here today because it really illustrates basis. What's going on?
I think that's you.
That sound coming from me?
Yeah.
Okay. It illustrates so much of what I talk about on a regular basis. For example, just last night I had the privilege of sitting down with the world champion heavyweight Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King. It was a true pleasure, and it was a serendipitous experience in as much as it was unplanned, but I made it happen. And the question is, how did I do it in that case, and how have I done it in many cases past? So often when I'm talking to you about prosperity, wealth, and success, I often mention the concept of positioning, putting yourself in the right position. I often talk about birds of a feather flock together. That goes for the winners as well as the losers. And the question is, when you want to assume a new feather, increase your prosperity, how do you do that, right? Let me give you a little story. And this was ironic because it was one part spiritual, but it was most parts decision making on a consistent basis. Because what you need to know is that advantage, well, that comes from you carving out small advantages over time. Every time you can get a leg up on someone else, every time you can successfully cut a corner, meaning take a straighter path, you should do it. That's what success is, the accumulation of small advantages over time. So for example, just yesterday, I said, you know what, I'm gonna take a day off to myself because I'm often around so many people, whether it's friends, family, loved ones, people working for me. So I want to be alone. So I went to rusticate in the Wynn Resort, in the Bellagio Resort, which is one of the nicest ones out in Las Vegas. And it came dinner time and I was pretty hungry, and I decided to go to the most expensive restaurant. And that's generally what I decide to do, because as I often tell you guys about positioning, just imagine, you go to a middle tier restaurant and you pay $40 for your meal at Vegas because it's pretty expensive. Or you go to the most expensive restaurant, maybe you pay an extra 30, an extra 40 bucks. But what you've done by making that decision is you've now spent a mere 20, 40, 30 bucks extra. Now you're around a whole different class of people, a whole higher caliber of individual. So I go into this restaurant as an invited VIP guest, and they sit me in some of the nicest scenery there, which was the outside patio, and they were kind enough to sit me next to the fireplace, and so it's a gorgeous view. And as I'm having the bread before they bring my main course, it was getting a little bit nippy. Your boy's wearing shorts, right? And so when the waiter comes back, I say, it's a little bit chilly out here. You mind taking me inside? Now, mind you, I'm getting a lot of privileges here because I just showed up without any reservation. And as you know, due to the restrictions, you usually got to make a reservation in restaurants. And now that Vegas is back cracking and everyone's here, things are really filled up, right? So anyways, he says, no problem, Mr. Burton. Just give me a moment. I'll find somewhere to get you set up. Enjoy the bread. We'll get everything moved. Just give me a moment. So he leaves, comes back out, said, we have a great seat for you. I'll grab all your things. Just follow so-and-so. So I follow so-and-so. I sit down at a nice plush couch, and the table's all set up, and I'm sitting there, going through my phone, chopping it up with Jabrizi Magic. We're talking about the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, you dig? And I get my food, enjoy the food, and I hear a voice that was really distinct and familiar. Now, mind you, I've not looked around the restaurant at all at this point because I've been, having a little conversation, enjoying my meal. And I hear a very distinct voice, like a foreign voice, very gravelly, foreign. And I turn around, and it is no other than the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury, world champion boxer, heavyweight. And I was like, no kidding. Now, why is he in the same restaurant that I'm in? Well, it's the best restaurant. That's what they say, right? But Definitely, it's the most expensive restaurant. I think it's one of 10 restaurants in America that have Kobe beef, which is a very expensive cut of meat. I think it's like $5,000 to get a good serving of this meat with no sides, right? So I look back, I'm like, oh man, that's Tyson Fury. Now, the thing is, in this very upscale restaurant, the expectation is that because everyone's very wealthy and very civilized, you're not going to become a fan in there. So, the celebrities can go there and eat in peace. And because there's a lot of VIPs, the staff knows how to deal with everyone and section you off. Well, they sat me right next to him. I just didn't look around. And then I just happened to hear him talking. And I looked at him, I was like, well, there he is. Now, here's the thing. Everyone has to do their job, right? The wait staff, their job is to grovel and make you feel like you're a VIP and keep everything nice and give you great service. And at that point, my job became like, this is a man I admire. I'd like to have a word, and for sure your boy needs a photo. Now, I've been around a lot of famous people. I've never once wanted a photo or an autograph. But as a fellow pugilist, as one who loves the sweet science, I was like, nah. Yeah, I'm a fan today. You dig? So anyways, I look back at him, and then I get on my phone. I was like, no kidding. So I do the camera facing myself because you can see me and you can see him in the background at the same time. I was like, that sure is him. And I can hear him talking. And then so I message Bridget. I say, hey, Bridget, I'm sitting by Tyson Fury. I was like, should I pay for his group's meal, or should I send over a bottle of champagne? I was like, nah, I'd love to have a photo with the gentleman. And she was like, nah, that's not a good idea. You don't have to spend any money. I was like, yeah, that's a good point. And as a business guy, I should always be thinking, how can I get the job done without spending money? So often when your account rises up, you get into the foolish mindset of trying to solve all of your challenges with money. And especially when you're poor, you think money will solve all of your problems. I promise you it won't. Anyways, I was like, that's a good point, Bridget. And then I thought logically, because here's the problem, whether you're dealing with women, a woman you find attractive, or you're dealing with someone you admire, you begin to get emotional, you stop thinking logically. And then I got back into my normal mindset outside of being a real fan of his work. And I said, what sense would it make for a wealthy guy to pay for another wealthy guy's food? And he can pay for his own food. It's a gesture, but it doesn't rank very high when it's easy for him to do it. It's easy for me to do. It's easy for anyone in the restaurant to do, which is why we're all here, because we're in the same income bracket. So we can assume that we are all well off, and to pay for someone else's meal is a small token of something that's easy to give, which money is easy to give. So I said, maybe I can give my respect. So anyways, in this particular restaurant, the wait staff comes through like every 8 seconds, a different person. Hey, can I get you some water? Hey, would you like anything? Hey, do you want to see a wine menu? Hey, do you want any dessert? Hey, how's the food? Hey, do you want this? Hey, here's a free this. Here, hey, try a macaroon. And so when the next person came through, I said, is the restaurant that way? And I pointed toward the direction of Fury, and I said, is the restroom that way? And I knew the restroom was not that way, but it looked like it could have been the restroom. It's really where the wait staff goes in and out. And in this restaurant, they've made it very stylized so it doesn't, look unattractive and out of place. And so the waitress said, no, that's not the bathroom. The bathroom's that way, the other way. And I said, oh, okay. All right, fantastic. So anyways, I finish up my meal. I have my check paid, and then I get up and I start walking straight toward where I pointed at, where I said I thought the restroom was, even though I knew that was not the restroom, because that's the direction in which Tyson Fury was. And he was just maybe about 7 steps away from me, literally 7 paces. So I walk that way, and I come upon him. And let me just give you a little thought before that. When I saw him, my first thought was, number one, I'm glad I made the conscious decision to come to this restaurant. I always choose the finest experience. Whatever I'm going to do, give me the Rolls Royce quality so I can be around the Rolls Royce people. You dig? And that's so important, because the true wealth in your life are relationships. It's the people you know. That's the true wealth. If you were to go broke today, but your friends are well-to-do, you have what's called a safety net. You have people who can give you jobs, people who can invest in your business, people who can give you introductions. People are the true wealth in life. Moreover, I was thankful that I chose that restaurant. I put myself in the right position myself around the right class of person. And then secondly, mind you, you don't have to be a wealthy person to eat at the restaurant. They're not checking your bank statement before you come in. You just have to be able to order something, right? Now in my case, granted, I was VIP at this restaurant, so they gave me prime seating. They probably wouldn't have sat most people so close to him. And surely what I'm about to tell you I did, they didn't expect me or anybody else to do. But that's number one. And then number two is I really do pride myself on being suited and booted. You dig? You got to dress the part. You got to look like money, which is to say, I want to assign this quotation to Coco Chanel, but please feel free to correct me. The statement is that you should dress every day like you're about to see your worst enemy. And I believe it's true. And I would add to that, I always wear a suit when I'm committing a crime. You dig? When you're committing a crime, you wear a suit, people tend to question if they should even arrest you. Take notes from the politicians, right? So anyways, I was thinking like, wow, I'm very thankful that I'm dressed up. I'm wearing a mandarin collar linen shirt that was made from scratch, a fedora, wearing a pair of velvet slippers that I actually had handmade by my own design. I was like, I look good and I feel good and I smell good. Had the hustler's aroma on, you dig? So anyways, I walk over. There's a difference between me walking over wearing that in the context of the restaurant we were in and me walking over looking like a hoodlum, right? Especially being African American, you have to understand what your position is. So I walk over and I say, I hate to be impolite and interrupt your meal, but I also have to pay my respect. And I so much admire your work as a boxer and also the life you've lived as a man and the example you've created. I'm a fanboy right now. I'm gonna need a picture. And he's sitting there and he has like his son or daughter, like a kid. I didn't even look at the kid, but I could have sworn it was like a kid to his right. And then he like 4 nondescript, oversized white guys with him. They could have been his friends, could have been his bodyguards, I don't know. And he was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And then so I sit down and we chopped it up a little bit. And when I had like started walking toward him and started talking and then sat down, like the whole staff in the restaurant was like, oh. But here's the thing, when you're suited and booted and you're also a VIP at the restaurant, they're very anxious about saying anything because they don't know if I know him personally. And they also aren't sure on even who he is because he's a boxer, right? And an average basic white lady at a hostess at a nice restaurant, she don't know boxers like that. So she doesn't know who I am. She doesn't know who he is. She's just like, okay, we got 2 VIPs here. It's not terribly polite to go to someone else's table, but what can we do? So the staff is just like standing there like, oh, I don't know what to do. And they're too scared to approach either of us. So I sit down, we start chopping it up. And one of the goofballs that's with him is like, oh, he's actually not a boxer. He just like looks like him a lot. And I turn and look at him and I don't even acknowledge him. Why? Because he's not important. Why is he not important? Well, here's the thing. He's only able to be in the restaurant because he's with Fury. I could tell by his appearance, his dress, his manner of speech, he's no one important. I'm not even going to acknowledge what he's saying. Why? Because a boss doesn't address an employee. Anytime I'm out in the world and someone's not acting right, I say, go get your manager. Get your boss. I'm not going to talk to you. We're not even peers. And there's a couple of things that's important in this story. So he invited me to sit down. We started chopping it up. Number one, mentality. I didn't engage him. You really want to approach people in 2 lights, either A as a peer or B as a sincere student, right? I gave him compliment, like saying, yes, I admire some of your work. That's a compliment. But the way I interacted with him was man to man as a peer, right? In actual fact, the way I look at it is if he knew who I am and knew my life, he might be just as much a fan of mine as I am of his. So I engage with him on a peer level. Also, his minions who said something, I didn't even respond because they're not peers. Further, when you're on a pursuit to do something, keep your eyes on the prize. There will be many detractors and haters, and he was one such individual. Further, another thing to consider in terms of positioning and then psychological mentality, the fact that I'm in such an expensive restaurant dining in by myself really speaks volumes, because generally when people eat by themselves, they eat at the bar. There was no bar, and this is an upscale restaurant, or they take the food to go. Very few people will dine in alone at a five-star, high-class, elegant, expensive restaurant because who wants to spend that much money when it's not a special occasion? This is a restaurant you really come to if you're a celebrity, if you're super wealthy and you're trying to hide from people, or if it's your anniversary or like some really special occasion that requires celebration. So if you can afford to just go in there by yourself on a regular day and just have a meal, speaks well of you. And so I was really well positioned to walk up to him as a peer. When I engaged, he said, yeah, sit down. And so I sat down and we talked as peers. That's an important concept. So many people will tell you, fake it till you make it. Well, you could do that. You could also just make it. When I tell you to go to the expensive restaurant, even if you don't necessarily have a high income, that's not faking it till you make it. That's making an investment and putting yourself in an elite circle among elite people. Further, another thing, after I finished talking with the champ one-on-one, the guy who's like started babbling, like, oh, he's actually not a boxer, he just looks like him. I handed him my camera and said, hey, take this picture. I didn't ask him if he would take it. I didn't say, would you do me a favor? I treated him like the peon and peasant that he really is. Hey, take this picture. Thanks, buddy. Why? Because the fact that when you tried to put a roadblock when I sat down to achieve my goal, now you're nothing to me. And more importantly, you're an ant and I would smash you with a sledgehammer. What I want you guys to understand is you should always be saintly, be polite and respectful, but nothing needs to get in between you and your goal, period. Confidence is hugely important. It took a lot of confidence to do what I did, but also support and having the right people around you is good. I sent Bridget a message saying, yo, Tyson Fury is behind me. What the? I already knew in my head I'm getting a picture, period. But it's always nice to have intelligent people around you. Birds of a feather flock together. Keep the right people around you. I want to address a couple points. Number one, we already addressed, you want to look like money. You want to dress the part. You want to dress as though you're going to see your worst enemy on that day. One funny note, just funny side note, when I sat down with Tyson and we were talking, one, he wasn't as big as I expected him to be. Now, mind you, I've seen a lot of celebrities in real life. I've also done a lot of work in front of the camera, modeling and acting. Everyone looks bigger on camera. But when you're talking about like a heavyweight boxer, you really expect them to be gargantuan. And I didn't get that sense. He was a very pleasant guy. But he was wearing a rapper chain. I kid you not. Like those long chains rappers used to wear in the 90s. My boy had on a rapper chain. I kid you not. Further, other thing I want to address, I got my notes over here, is, generally when people are talking to someone they admire, especially someone who's very wealthy, and I've experienced this an awful lot because I make a good effort to mentor people, to give experience and opportunities to young folks. And you can really only occupy one of two spaces: a peer, meaning we're on the same level, or a sincere student. If you can, always try to be a peer, because a peer, when someone views you on their level, not only will you call up Marquette Devon Burton and say, hey, let's go have a bite to eat, or let's go hang out. Marquette Devon Burton might call you up and say, hey, what are you up to? Let's have a bite to eat. Let's go hang out. That's a peer. When you come to someone as a sincere student, certainly they can respect that. But generally, they'll never call you. You'll be calling them to get some of their time. And then there's all the other categories of people that someone in a privileged position experiences: gold diggers, leeches, etc. You don't want to be any of those things. You want to be one of those two categories. I want to give you some game that I learned. 3 individuals. When I was in university, there's a gentleman named Nate Duma, and he was telling me, he was like, Marquette, this is your first day on campus at Berkeley. I want you to know you earned your way here, and you're going to meet all sorts of people. This was like freshman orientation. You're going to meet all sorts of very intelligent people, Nobel laureates, advisors to presidents, all of these beautiful minds. But you remember, you are a peer. You're here just like they're here, and you should never allow anyone to make you feel inferior. You're a peer. First person who taught me about that. Then the second thing is, one thing I started to realize as my status increased is sometimes you're doing things that are regular to you, but because other people are on a different level, they might think you're showing off or bragging. So for example, if I say, oh, what'd you do last week? And you say, oh, I just hung out at the house, I watched Netflix, I washed my car, I applied to some new jobs. And you say, oh, what did you do last week? And I was like, oh, I was in, I was in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and I did this and I did that. Well, I'm not bragging, I'm just saying what I actually did last week. So I say that to say this. If you're coming in at a lower level, talking to someone you admire, maybe someone who's very successful or wealthy, when they're talking about their life, it might sound very unimaginable or very remote from your life experience, but that doesn't mean that your life experience is any less valuable. So still engage them as a peer confidently and humbly, right? You don't, just because they were in Brazil and you were at home, doesn't mean your life experience that week was any less valuable. They want to talk to you just like you're a human being, just as valuable as they are. So don't talk to them like, oh, I know I wasn't out of the country, but I was just at home. Like, don't make your life sound worse than it is. Be able to paint a beautiful picture and stay optimistic and positive. What I'm saying is don't self-deprecate. Do not speak poorly of yourself. You don't have to be at the Rolls Royce level. Just be yourself. The 3-sentence Bible. Number 1, be yourself. Number 2, be good to yourself. Number 3, be good to good people. Here's another piece of game. And as I said, like, you can't necessarily relate to some people because your lifestyles are radically different, especially if you're still on your come up. And certainly I like talking to people who are my true peers and we can relate on the same things. I was talking to Jabrizi last night, for example, and he's thinking about getting the Rolls-Royce Cullinan SUV. And I was like, bro, there's an option you can get on the Cullinan where in the rear of the SUV, 2 seats pop out and fold up. And then there's a picnic table in the middle. So it's like you can basically drive up to In-N-Out, for example, order your food to go, and then you can pull up and just pop out 2 whole seats out of the back, and they're like hanging out of the trunk. It's super player. I love talking about baller stuff like that, right? But most people can't discuss that because they don't know anything about a car that costs $500,000, right? And they surely don't know about the specific options because they've never been shopping for such a car. Granted, be aware. I am aware of that, right? So I don't expect a regular person to be able to have a discussion about a Rolls-Royce Cullinan, but guess what? If you could have that discussion, boy, would I be impressed. You don't have to be wealthy to have that discussion. You have to research. Let me give you an example. There was a time I felt like really tight from a workout. So I had a masseuse come do in-home service, older white lady. So she comes, she brings her whole masseuse table, sets it up in my living room. I hop on, she gets going, and she's talking the whole time. And generally, when I'm getting a massage, I want you to shut up. I want you to shut up. I want you to turn off that music, and I'm gonna shut up. I might even fall asleep, but everybody needs to shut up. But she was talking, and her conversation game was so strong, I really enjoyed it. And so she's like, oh, I noticed that you like to travel. So yeah, I do a little bit of traveling. How about you? She was like, no, you know what? I've not traveled very many places at all. I've really only been to Hawaii and like one other place. I think she's like, I've only been to Hawaii and Greece. I was like, oh, okay. I've been to Hawaii. That's a cool spot. She's like, yeah. She's like, but I love travel. And I know because I read a lot of travel books. She's like, so where have you been? And I was like, oh, I've been in a lot of places, probably too many to name. I didn't really want to get into conversation. She's like, well, tell me about one of the places. I was like, oh, I've been here, and this is my favorite place because of this. And she was like, oh, yeah, Morocco. Did you know in Morocco they have this, this, and this? I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, well, when you were in Morocco, did you go and do this? And did you see the Blue City? And I was like, yeah, I did. And she's like, oh, yeah. And she's like, and if you go here, you just go to Tunisia from Morocco, and then they have this. What I'm saying is that the woman was so well read, so knowledgeable, that she could recount all of the activities and sites and history of these places as though she had been. It was a very engaging conversation. So much so that, I don't know if you remember, Bridget, I'd even told you, like, wow, this one was a great conversationalist. Yeah. And it's rare that I say that because most people don't have the intellect, the experience, the knowledge of current events to engage me in a meaningful conversation to where I'm engaged and impressed. And I was so impressed. And she's a smart saleswoman because I'm surely going to remember her. And next time I want in-home massage, she'll be the one. So I say that to say this. Where you lack lived experience, you can leverage knowledge, which is why I so often prize knowledge and always tell you to be growing your mind, saints. Because in place of having traveled so many places, she's read books. And reading books is like traveling. And also having intelligent friends is like reading books. And that was a situation where I had someone who clearly like, I don't know, maybe it was like $300, I don't remember, but I'm paying her a small amount of money to me to show up to my home and give me a massage. So she's in the service industry. So we're in like radically different income classes, but on an intellectual and almost experiential, because she had read so much, we're on the same level. We can relate. Like, I enjoy talking to her. That's the basis of something called friendship. Peer. I could call her up and hang out, and I know it's going to be good conversation. And what do we want? Bond, connection. Wealthy people and poor people are the same, except that wealthy people have better habits, and they're more consistent, reliable, and have principles. But otherwise, they're the same. They want their family to be happy and healthy. They want bonds and connections. They want to go out and have a good time. They want to feel connected and feel loved. She was able to provide those things. Conversation can rule a nation. Another thing to carry on to, when you're engaging someone who's more experienced or wealthy or someone you admire, don't turn what could be a conversation into a free consultation, meaning that just because someone is the CEO of fill in the blank huge tech company, that doesn't mean you want to start asking them all of these business questions. Hey, how'd you get started? How'd you make your first million? Like, hey, here's my situation. What do you think? You want to build friendship. You don't want to try to get a free consultation. You don't want the person to feel like they're at work having a conversation with you that feels like an interrogation. No one wants to be grilled. I've had many situations where people are like, hey, let me take you to lunch. I want to pick your brain. Oh, that's exciting, because all day I was hoping someone would pick my brain. No, nobody is seeking that. We want to have a good laugh and have fun and be casual like everybody else. So don't treat someone like they're an encyclopedia, because that's very extractive. You're like an intellectual leech. Now, granted, you're gold digging, but you're digging for the most valuable treasure, which is that of the mind, but all the same, you want to create bond first, because no one wants to feel like they're being used. Another way to change the birds that you're associated with is that familiarity is important. I've seen certain individuals multiple times in different environments that, were quite expensive to be in. And when they come up to me and say, oh, hey, I've seen you here and here, I'm more inclined to shake their hand and really engage them, because I'm like, you're right, I have seen you a couple of times. So the familiarity and having seen them consistently before they introduce themselves or ask for something, that's an important piece. Another thing to consider, oh yeah, Bridget, you wouldn't believe last night at the restaurant, I walked in and there were two hostess, and one of them, she said, hey, do you have a reservation? It's like, no, I don't have a reservation, but I think you probably do me a favor. She was like, yeah, for sure. So she looked me up. They had the wrong phone number. I don't know why. Maybe it was Missy's phone number or something like that, but they had the wrong phone number. Anyway, she eventually has the other hostess take me to the outside patio. And I see the hostess from here wearing a mask, and I recognize her. She's like the concierge here in this building. Also works at the restaurant, right? The Eastern European one.
Yeah.
So I say to her, I was like, hey, you work at such and such, don't you? And she's like, oh yeah, do you live there? I was like, yeah, kind of. And she's like, oh, okay. So, I don't recognize you. I'm like,
blonde girl?
I guess blondish.
Yeah, dyed blonde.
The slim one.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about, right? What are the chances you think she doesn't recognize me?
0?
0%, right? I'm over like, you raggedy piece of trash. But the way lower class people think, I don't know if she come on. And I'm thinking maybe she's embarrassed that I see that she has 2 jobs. She's just working in all these low wage jobs. I don't know if she was embarrassed or didn't want to be recognized. I don't know, but I thought it was really strange. Then when she sits me down, she stays there trying to have a conversation. I'm just like, go, just please leave. She's like, oh, there's going to be a yoga event on Monday. You should come out. I'm like, no, just go. We're done here. That's weird, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Anyways, so Saints, the other thing to consider is that when you're with someone who you admire and you're the one getting most of the benefit, and you should be conscious of power dynamics. Sometimes you're dealing with a peer. You're just both there for your enjoyment. Other times, it's a clear power dynamic in which the other person has a lot more capital, financial, social, and otherwise, and you're there to grow based on your association with them. If they have the capital, you should be paying for dinner, not because they can't afford it, because it's a proper gesture. I cannot tell you how many times I've went out with people and I'm just there for their benefit. In my mind, I'm doing charity work, huh? Because I'm trying to enhance them. And then the check comes and I reach for the check and they let me pay for the check. And I always think, not again. Yeah, sure, I can pay for this check and everybody else's check. But the fact that you don't even have the decency to make your investment, to offer a token, to me is just super low class. Super low class. Because I could be 1,000 places. And what I want you guys to understand, living in the real world, whether you're a woman trying to date a high value man, or you're an impoverished person or a person who's trying to make a come up, trying to make friends with a wealthy man or woman, think about wealth. The nature of wealth is people attract to you. So if someone's not offering you value, they'll send you away real quick. I had a female, and I asked her, I said, hey, what value do you feel like you're offering to me? And she says, oh, well, like my time. And as soon as she said time, I'm thinking, your time is worth nothing. What do you get paid? $15 an hour? Your time has no value. To me, especially. And she said, well, my time and my company. And I was like, look, you're done. Go. Just get away. Go. Yeah. Why? When you're in a strong position, people want to come around you all the time. Listen, yesterday I said I want to be alone. Intentionally got away from people. So remember, if you're going to be around someone, you're trying to offer them value. If you're going to be around a person that you want something from, offer them value, real value. Don't get confused as a woman and think your vagina is value. It's not. Every woman has one. As a man, don't get confused and think you just being around is value. No. Offer real value. So, being a leech or a gold digger is not helpful. If I pay for the dinner, I say, oh, I grab the check instinctively. I always reach for it. But if you're going to let me pay for the check and I'm there for your benefit, I consider you to be a fool. I could never imagine you being a successful person, so I don't want to spend time with you. Let's see. I got any more notes? Okay, that's good. I think those are most all the notes. And the last one is, and it's the obvious underlying message of the whole situation, which is shoot your shot. Whether it's at a woman or it's at an opportunity. When I saw Tyson Fury there, in my mind, I said, everything I've experienced today has brought me to this moment. Maybe most of these wealthy people in here don't even know who he is. I know, and I care. It means something to me. And I wouldn't care if that was Jay-Z. That could be any other wealthy person, and I would not care. But it's a fighter, and I love fighting. This is what I do. I'm going to go talk to him. I'm going to shoot my shot. That's the underlying message, is shoot your shot. But it's so much easier to shoot your shot when you've already shot 1,000 shots before that. So much easier to shoot your shot when you're in perfect physical condition. It's so much easier to shoot your shot when the uniform is there and it's looking good. You dig? So I was in an optimal situation. All lights were green. And I pressed the gas, saints. Now, I will address your questions and etc.
Someone earlier asked if they send a Cash App, did they send the question on Cash App or to the live chat?
If you send a Cash App, you can send the question on the live chat. And remember that I think the last hater was sent $5 to hate. So if it's not $6 or more, we're not answering the question. Because if the haters could pay $5 just to hate, boy, that's a low standard. Good Lord. Emilio writes, love the business topic, future millionaires. Truly appreciate that, Emilio. That was from yesterday. Shout out to Antoine. He's going to have a consultation coming up. Arena, the lady saint, she writes, for the good of the SAS, and truly appreciate that. Good to see you again. Okay. I think we may be caught up on all of the Cash Apps. I'll make this a short one. That's good.
You need to check your email.
Checking email now.
And you can announce there's only 12 jump ropes left.
Oh yes, Saints. As you know, we had a pre-order for the jump ropes. The link is in the description. We only produced 100 of these jump ropes, and we released the pre-order 36 hours ago, something like that. And I think that there are 12 jump ropes left. So if you'd like to get a jump rope, you can order it from the description. There's 12 left. And as you know, with all of the things you've seen in the past, we only do one run.
And pre-order means they're not shipping out tomorrow or even possibly next week. They're shipping out soon.
Correct. Nathaniel writes, peace to the saints. Thank you for the PayPal. And I think during this live chat, what time did we go live? 3?
A little after 3, yeah.
Okay. We may actually have less than 12 jump ropes. It looks like Richard got a jump rope since we went on, so there's 11 jump ropes. Suleiman writes, what do you think about the Gypsy King as a human and a boxer? I'm very thankful for sharing your wisdom. The one and only, the real one on YouTube will become a member on Patreon next week. I appreciate that. What do I think about the Gypsy King? I think that he's a unique fighter because of his gargantuan size. Number one, there are very few people who can be physically competitive with him because they don't have the size. Undoubtedly, in a violent sport, size is critical, but size is the most critical in the heavyweight division because there's no upper limit. In my division, light heavyweight, there's an upper limit. I'm not going to be really boxing guys who weigh more than 180 pounds. But in the heavyweight category, there's an infinite amount of height and infinite amount of weight. So at Tyson Fury's height, he's very hard to match physically. And then on top of that, he actually has boxing skill. He's elusive. He has a boxing IQ. He's able to throw the feint, stutter step, keep you off balance. And he's also a savage as well, which helps in boxing. He has that mean spirit. So from a fighting perspective, I think he's very hard to contend with. Mike Tyson, who has superior skill, superior technique, faster and stronger, he probably is just too small. So even a prime Mike Tyson might not be able to take out Tyson Fury because he's too small, even though he's a superior fighter. In terms of the Gypsy King as a human being, I think he seems like a lot of fun. Like, I'd probably enjoy going out with him. We'd probably cut up quite a bit. He and I together, we'd probably end up locked up at the end of that night. So he seems like a fun guy. Certainly he's had some challenges with substance abuse. And as you know, I'm one who is staunchly against all forms of intoxicant, including caffeine, soda, and things like that, against sugar. So certainly our past experience has been different, but he's a very disciplined man to be a boxer, and I think that I have a lot of respect for him based on that. Thank you for the question. Kevin White comes through on Cash App. He writes, peace to the saints, love the game you give. Thank you. Victor writes, tuition 6 on YouTube, and peace to the saints.
He has a comment here.
All right.
He said, being with the girl for 3 months, I've caught her lies that she later admitted to after being cornered. She's a submissive girl and would give me her last dollar, but she has hella bodies. Wife or side piece?
She got hella bodies.
It says hella bodies.
There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hella.
It just says hella.
Hella bodies. Ooh-wee. You know what, Saint? I can't lie to you. Hella bodies makes me uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable. So if you're in a situation where you're like, okay, I'm gonna have 2 wives or 3 wives or 4 wives, okay, you have a wife with hella bodies. But if you had to put all your eggs in one basket, you're just gonna have 1 wife. I wouldn't want 1 wife with hella bodies because to me that's unreliable. And the reason it's unreliable is because a woman who has hella bodies, she could be a sex freak, it's possible. Generally when she has uncontrolled libido, there's a root from some sexual abuse in childhood. But when she has this high body count, that generally means that she's a little too open. You know, she's open to guys coming in and having their way with her. And if that's the case, how could she ever close herself off to other men in the appropriate way to prize you and you only? So if it were me and I was only gonna have 1 woman, then she would have to be a side girl. If I was gonna have multiple wives, I would give her a chance to prove herself over time. But if she's been lying, that's a disappointing thing. But if we're being real, a man of his word is a concept. A woman of her word, not something that's been embedded in the language, which is a suggestion that the woman will become more honest as she has more understanding of you, more regard and more respect for you. So there will be a good number of lies at the beginning, and you'll have to, build that honest foundation over time, generally speaking. So yes, she may have lied. That doesn't necessarily mean she's a liar. It might just mean she's a woman. But if she's just lying randomly, still, she might be a liar. And you might need to keep her on the side and get her for what she's worth.
The number's 11.
11 bodies? At
Yeah.
what age, though?
He just said it makes him uncomfortable with
Yes,
11.
it's a lot of bodies, because check this out. If she said 11 bodies, we need to do some Marquettian math. You dig? And go ahead and multiply that by 2 and add 7. She really has 29 bodies. Holla! Carson writes, question in YouTube live chat. Thank you.
Carson,
Edward Emery. Amir also has a question in the YouTube live chat.
Okay, I met Carson right now. He said, how can I differentiate between giving myself honest feedback versus excuses/justifications for how I handled something important? Why do I feel shame for trying something new? And when do you know when to quit a venture and try something new?
You know when to quit a venture when you've been bumping your head up against the wall on a consistent basis, meaning that you have a business. The purpose of a business is to make money. Full stop. If you have tried multiple strategies, you've revised the revenue model several times, it's still not making money or enough money for it to make sense to carry on, you need to shut that business down. Better to kill the baby as an infant than to let it get 13 years old and then try to abort it, right? That's why we abort the baby before birth, not to offend anybody. It's easier on everyone, right? You don't want to build connection over time to this business if it's not going to perform. Also, today in a consultation, I told a young man who's a very brilliant technologist, and it seems as though he was coming to this conclusion on his own, but I said, this app, kill it. It's not making money. The revenue model's not very good. There's no utility. It's nice to have, but it's not so needed that someone would pay money. When you build a product, it should not be a vitamin. We're never sure of what vitamins actually do, what the value add is. But painkillers, we know what they do. And when you need a painkiller, you don't say, should I? You get it. You pay for it. So you want to build products that are painkillers. They solve very clear they solve very clear problems for individuals or for businesses. And he also said, is he making excuses or is he giving himself feedback? When you get good mentorship, you can have someone who's in advance of you economically, experientially, maturity-wise, and they can give you good feedback. Sometimes the feedback you give yourself as a young man is not very good or very insightful because you can only see what you see. Someone with expertise can see what you don't see. They can see what you've yet to see. You dig?
Okay, by the way, the girl with 11 bodies, she's 20.
Holy sh! Oh my, call the police. 11 bodies at age 20?
That's what it says.
I'm out.
You said who was that?
Hey, she probably gets some bomb brain though, don't she? Woo-wee! That's crazy. 20 bodies at age, 11 bodies at age 12. Good
Is
Lord.
the next person you said Amir?
She doing numbers, Bridge. If she lost her virginity at 16 and she's 20, that's 4 years. She got 11 bodies. She's doing about 2.4
16's
bodies.
very young, I think, for a girl to lose her virginity too.
But this one got bodies. I'm trying to help her out. Anyways, go ahead.
Is Amir the next one you said?
Yes.
Amir said, Marquette, how can a mathematics bachelor's degree give me an advantage in a product-based business?
The products that have the highest profit margins are financial products, stocks, bonds, all these things, futures, all these complex financial products that I can't even remember the names of right now because I've gotten so far out of this world. But with a mathematics degree, if you're actually good at math, you could do currency speculation. You can do all kinds of things in financial markets dealing with paper assets. So you can even write algorithms for, you know, buying stock. There's so many things that can be done with a mathematics degree related to financial products, generally products that are intangible or digital. And also you can get into software quite easily and write algorithms for software and artificial intelligence. There's a lot you can do with a mathematics degree. It's a very valuable degree. You'll be quite valued in the job market. So I highly encourage you to, be confident in that. A lot of the products that I help people with on a regular basis are not financial products, they're not algorithmic based. There are some software folks because that's what my bread and butter is. So that's what I recommend to you, financial products. Okay. Jabri comes through prosperous. He writes $100 for the comment section. Is the comment section lit or something?
There's people talking about 11 bodies at 20, people claiming that Fury cheated.
Okay, well, let me address that because that's an important thing. Saints, let me tell you the only thing that matters. Winning. Doesn't matter if he cheated. If he's not been found out to have cheated, doesn't matter. He won. At the end of the day, he has the belt. That's all that matters. Losers are very concerned with, oh, did he cheat? What did he do? How did he do this? He doesn't have any integrity. Nah. Forget all that, bruh. He won. Period. If Wilder was my son and he came here talking about, oh, he had an egg weight in his hand or he didn't have his glove all the way on, then I would have told him, son, why didn't you have an egg weight? Why didn't you have your glove all the way on? You lost. That's all that matters. I hate losers. I hate loser mentality. I don't ever want to hear somebody explain why they lost. You fucking lost. That's it. I hate loser mentality. People trying to explain why they lost. You lost. Figure out how to win. Don't nobody give a shit why you lost. Sorry, Richard.
You're good.
I just hate excuses. It's about winning, right?
Yeah.
When you win, you get more money, right?
Yeah.
We trying to win out here. If you're going up against somebody that's using egg weights, then you need to be using egg weights.
Some people did say that Wilder's making excuses, talking about his heavy costume, all that
Shit,
stuff.
I don't care what happened, bro. You lost. If you really want to win, you do anything it takes to win. In fact, you may have even heard the joke, you ain't trying if you ain't cheating. Huh? Which is a joke to say do whatever it takes to win. Winning is what's important. Goddamn loser mentality. I'm sorry. Orion, since through tuition. And I hate to have the emotional outburst, but my mind is programmed for winning. I hate losing. I hate losers. I hate loser mentality. I hate loser thoughts. I hate poverty mentality. I hate poor people's smell. I hate the appearance of poor people. I hate being around poor people. I hate seeing. I don't like nothing. You got to condition your mind. I hate losers. I really do. Jabri writes, my statement is the comment section. Oh, okay. He says the comment section. Got it. Appreciate it, Say. Alex writes, best advice given to you by successful people.
I think he means his statement. So he wrote in the comment section, he said, I've met a lot of celebrities. The best approach is state your name, your title, and ask a question.
Straightforward.
Straightforward.
Confident, straightforward.
He goes up and says, I'm a magician.
Right. And I agree with that too. And Jabri's met a ton of famous people, and you can check this out on his Instagram. And so he knows this very well. What I think is behind what he said, which is state your name, state your title, state your questions, boom, 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 get straight to it. When successful people encounter average people or people they think are average because they don't know you, but you know them, their first thought is like, what does this guy want? Does he want some money? Is he going to rob me? Like, is this a leech? Is this girl a gold digger? Like, you have your guard up. Rightfully so. And that's a great straightforward approach because the person doesn't have to be concerned about, well, what does this person want? Because you're letting them know off the rip. Let me check these PayPals. I think we are caught up on the Roland writes super chat. Okay, so Roland Colthurst may have a super chat. And by the way, shout out to Roland. He got the jump rope. I'm looking for. He also has the cherub tank. Was dope. I saw him hitting them push-ups in it the other day.
I believe I shipped him hand wraps earlier this week too.
He's about to be suited and booted, you heard me? He's about to be suited and booted. Yeah, Saints, I really hate loser stuff, man. It's like, think, can Deontay Wilder undo that loss by complaining? No, he just makes himself look bad. And I'm a Wilder fan. Not a Wilder fan on the level of being a Fury fan because Wilder doesn't have boxing skills. He has a good punch. He probably knocked me out, but he doesn't have boxing skills.
Roland, send your...
Not an artist. He's not an artist. I just don't even know why you guys will waste your time talking about why he lost. The record is closed. It's written in cement. Wilder lost. Fury won. That's all that matters. The only thing that matters is if they can get a rematch. But I don't think Wilder really wants a rematch. But why he lost? Nah. Or how Fury cheated? Well, if he cheated, he got away with it. And that's all that matters, that he got away with it. Somebody give a cut. Trying not to get banned.
I don't see any super chat question from Roland, but after you were talking about his tank top, he said, I need to do a better video. Those push-ups weren't good enough. I'm not sure if he was wearing the tank top in the video.
He was.
Okay.
That's beautiful. Yes, high standards. Shout out to Jordan, got the rope as well. Shout out to Kiwan, also got the jump rope. There might not be any left by the time we finish.
And Anthony.
Yep, I see that one as well. Okay. Fantastic. I think we are all caught up. Hey, Saints, I apologize for the outburst. It's just that I really am disgusted by excuses. And I have never met a successful person who lives on excuses. You can't do that. You will never get from the bottom to the top making excuses. Maybe if you're born into money, you can make excuses, but when you're born down here, you will grow to hate excuses because all the people who live down here, that's their bread and butter. Excuses. They even have all these crackpot conspiracy theories of why somebody's trying to keep a brother down, the Illuminati, and all these weird ideas on why they're broke. They never use the obvious idea of, I'm not making smart decisions. I'm not being thoughtful with my money. I'm not getting education and things that will give me meaningful skills in the job marketplace. You know, excuses make people feel better about their own failings and shortcomings. And to make excuses on someone else's behalf is even worse because it doesn't benefit you. It just shows that you have a poverty mentality. Because here's the thing, for real men who are really concerned with winning, which is the only thing that matters, you see, a real champion is even a champion in defeat. And by the way, I am undefeated in the ring, you dig. But let me take a L. I'm going to take a L like a boss. And I'm going to give the person who defeated me, I don't even like saying that out loud, but I'm going to give the person who won their respect. Full stop. No excuses. And I tell you, the last boxing match that I had was a very rigorous boxing match because I had to drop so much weight. The gentleman whom I defeated came to the dressing room afterward to give me respect and say, hey man, like I didn't talk to you before the fight because obviously we're about to get it on, but I Googled you and I see that you're very successful. And you're like, I got a couple questions for you on entrepreneurship. And I had to respect that, you dig? One thing he didn't do, he didn't show up and say, oh man, I lost because of this, or I was tired because of that, or hey, they gave you the decision because of... No, he came in like a man, said, hey, you fought a good fight, by the way, and got on to another topic. Boxers, fighters especially, we're not excuse people. We're hard men. Excuses, man, that's weak, emotional, immature, childish.
Okay, Roland's super chat was, the supplement industry has claimed a lot of their stuff as painkiller products when they're not. We were duped.
True story. True story. Agreed. Jabri writes, Every time I've lost in life, I make them suffer. Read 2. Every time I've lost in life, I make them suffer something. Okay, here it is. I make them suffer when I return. Right. Jabri said if he takes an L, he claps back by winning next time. Not with the mouth, with action. Let Deontay Wilder know, bro, you don't win boxing matches by complaining. You win them by fighting. And no disrespect to Wilder, it's just that the character has been shown. When he took a defeat, his character has been shown. Everybody can be a boss when they win it. He don't know how to take an L. Bro, I know how to take an L, you heard me? Shout out to Robert Jones, he writes tuition. Victor writes...
It's here.
Okay, talk to me.
He wrote, me again. I appreciate the advice. Sometimes you know what's best, but need outside confirmation via an esteemed second opinion. Much love and peace to the saints.
Absolutely, because none of us are perfect. And even sometimes you want things to work out. We all do. You have to be conscious of this duality in your mind between what is real and what you want to be real. Imagination and hope, and then hard reality. You know, there's sometimes I ask Bridget a question, I already know the answer, I just need to hear it reaffirmed. Like earlier today, I put on a shirt I knew didn't match these pants. I said, Bridget, what do you think? She was like, no. I was like, good point, I knew that.
Or should I send champagne? No.
Oh, right, exactly, yeah, I knew and I don't even drink, right? But I asked her anyways. Sometimes you know you just want to hear it again. I get that. You'd be arrogant and foolish to think you know the answer to everything. That's where we go wrong. We go awry. And often when people come to me for a consultation, if I look at what they want the outcome to be and I say, I can't deliver that, as a man of integrity, I let them know, this is outside of my area of expertise. Hey, I'm the money man when it comes to products, when it comes to software, when it comes to algorithms, when it comes to strategy, when it comes to women, when it comes to mental health, all these things. But you asked about something I don't know a damn thing about. I'm going to recommend that you keep your money and spend this with someone who can help you. Because I'm not here for the money, I'm here to help people. And I can't help you, so take this and go to someone who can. You have to have humility, you have to have accuracy, and you have to be willing to say, I'm a human being, I am flawed, I am saintly, I am also sinful sometimes.
Jabri said, just take your ball and go home. Don't no one care about running your mouth. Facts.
You feel me? Man, I just can't believe the whole internet is making excuses for him. I mean, good Lord. And here's the thing, I'm not saying Fury did or didn't cheat. I don't care. All I care is, did he win? That's all I care about. Did he win? That's it. If you lost, you lost. Jordan writes, missed a couple lives. Good to be back. Just purchased a jump rope. Ready to get the work in. I've been developing skills in cybersecurity to make a career change. Church. Do you have any suggestions for gaining job experience? Eventually, I want to take this skill to develop my own systems and run my own operation. So his question is, do you have any suggestions for gaining job experience? Absolutely. You should be applying to internships in cybersecurity. And I would think that if you're taking courses with a university, they should have a counselor there whom you can ask, and your university probably has relationships with cybersecurity firms. So I would look there first. Because after all, you are paying these people, right? Get your money's worth. Will McCoy sends through tuition. Appreciate that, Saint. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. I'm going to end this the way we always end this, with the Creed of the Assassin. I would usually rise for the Creed of the Assassin, but we're in a tripod right now, so do forgive me. No disrespect to the saints or the assassin. The Creed of the Assassin. I am going to be who I truly am, because I am remarkable. And I'm going to strive every moment to show the greatest part of who I am. Until next time.